Grady
Hey, run that thing up.
Nah, but listen to me. The thing is if he shows out in the finals and they still lose, he can still be up there.
The Frenchman up there talking his language. We need to get this stop. No, it's you, and I still.
Grady
In the East, Philly
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah, can you get him to stick around? Can you beat it to
Hey, run that thing up.
Grady A.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Grade A Show. I'm your host for today. The champ is here. I got my guy Ace here. I got my guy Peso here. How y'all doing today?
This man said the champ is here. Solidify why you are the champ.
That's not even under discussion.
Back-to-back champ, I might add.
That's not
just
even
want
under
to put that out
discussion.
there.
Boy.
We had our Grade A Fantasy League basketball draft come to a conclusion, and you are looking at your reigning, defending, undisputed champion, your tribal chief. Yes, sir. I'm only here to talk my ish to a particular guy on the screen, my brother right here, as well as one other guy who is MIA since his first round of departure, and that's Tommy, T-Boy, T-Top, whatever you want to call him. Where have you been, my brother? You was talking all that hot shit during the draft.
People not used to
You got
success.
MIA. Go ahead, Ace. I'll let you have the floor. Go ahead. I ain't got nothing to say.
People obviously not used to success. But while we at it,
Yeah, you. When last time you had some success?
there
Go
we
ahead.
go. You let me finish.
Go
I'd like
ahead.
to give a shout out to Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard for being first ballot Hall of Famers.
what we doing? We ain't talking about that right now.
Well, hold on, man. I have the floor. No, don't I? Me.
Go ahead, Ace.
Carmelo Anthony put in work. It's been a successful career. I still feel like him and Dwight can still be playing, but neither here nor there. Two players who have definitely changed or impacted the game when they hit the floor. So I just wanted to get that out the way before we move on. Congratulations.
Now, before we get too deep, when you say that Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony can still play right now, okay, what teams are we talking about?
I mean,
Because
any
I
team-
agree, I agree with you, but I just
Like-
want to piggy off of what you said. 'Cause
For
that's an
example,
interesting topic.
seeing Dwight online, I feel like any team who needs a big, you could plug him in. Carmelo, I feel like can still maybe off the bench or even if it's starting role, maybe a team like. Honestly, I felt like he left Portland prematurely. A team like Detroit off the bench, like certain teams, he could still plug in and go if he was really working out. Of course, since he announced retirement, he hasn't been working out, so that's a difference. Dwight Howard, I feel like due to contracts and the league veteran rules, that's what's stopping his growth. But there's a rule, like certain teams, like especially with the Lakers, he can't sign multiple veteran minimums or something like that. But I feel like he can still impact the team as well as Carmelo as far as locker room presence, mid-range scoring, and post scoring.
No, I could agree with that. I was gonna say real quick. I definitely feel like Dwight Howard would benefit more in today's league than Melo, and it's not nothing to take away from Melo. I think Melo would be able to fit in a lot of places, but Dwight Howard, I could see him just the type of big that he is, what he brings to the table, and not causing too much disruption on teams, especially like in today's league, would be perfect. Especially like with Embiid going through what he's going through. I mean, shoot, besides what we talking about, Jokic, Sengun, I mean, from a whole totality standpoint, I think Dwight Howard would still arguably be a top 5 big in today's NBA if he was still here
Top five big what?
at the center position.
Fuck no.
There's not a lot of elite bigs.
I
today.
mean, besides, okay, all right, I'm not. If
Well,
we're gonna consider,
we won't indulge into that. But
nah, we can indulge into it because
let me give my opinion on the whole.
we're talking
Dwight
about
and Melo
Jokic.
situation.
We're talking about Jokic. We're talking about Sabonis, and we're talking about AD. Who else we talking about? Sengun. Who else we talking about?
Ain't too many. And then AD publicly said
I'm saying besides Embiid.
Wembenyama,
Okay, he'd be okay.
and Joel Embiid. That's five. You can't exclude him. He's in the conversation. We talk about centers.
But Dwight Howard will definitely still be a top big in today's NBA.
I don't disagree with you saying top big. Well, center because bigs is different. No, he won't.
Five would be okay. Five was.
If you're talking about centers, he won't be a top five center.
Well, hold on now. To Peso's point, Dwight Howard is still physical. Some of those bigs don't like contact.
That don't got nothing to do with being physical. Don't mean nothing about your skill set being better than somebody.
Look how uncomfortable Joker was against Dwight in that series in the bubble.
I mean, I think when we're talking from a defensive standpoint, I think physicality definitely works in Dwight Howard's favor when you going against matchups.
That's not going to be the separator him being a top five center in this league. But anyway, I want to get back to the other part before we continue with this whole top five.
All right, top six,
Melo,
top seven. Melo ain't that bad.
I don't think Melo could really. Let me rephrase that. I don't see Melo really being on any teams at this point in his career that can. I think he could fit because he can shoot the ball, but defensively, that's where it'll leave me some cause to pause. But again, I don't really see much teams that I can just plug him in and playoff team, particularly not teams that's like going for Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper of the world. Dwight, OKC, he will fit perfect in OKC. The Lakers can use him, especially now that you have Luka. So I can see that fit. Phoenix desperately can use a Dwight Howard, along with another lead guard, of course, that can facilitate. So those are some teams I can think for Dwight.
I feel like Boston could use Dwight.
Sure. I mean, sure. I wouldn't see that. They don't need him, but it'll be a nice little touch. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
And like Peso said, Philadelphia, damn sure can use him. Philly, Spurs.
Philadelphia needs health. The hell with Dwight. They need health.
Spurs.
The Spurs
I just think at the end of the day, I mean, maybe top five would have been a little bit too much, but like
that was my preference. That was my
top five is not too much because if you look at
he's not going to be a top five center ace.
But why not?
Okay, but I don't think it's a stretch because where the game at is nowadays, and from an offensive standpoint, Dwight Howard is not bringing nothing to the table compared to what Jokic, Wemby, Embiid, AD, and all of them are doing. I agree with that, but I think from a matchup standpoint, I definitely think like a lot of that, it'll a lot of that stuff would window down. I think he'll be able to contain a lot of the Jokic's, the Wembys, and I'm not saying whole totality, but definitely his presence will be shown in the NBA. Top six, top seven big, maybe.
But what you just said that's a clear difference. The difference between him being a top five big and him being able to help teams based on matchups is two different things. When you mention the matchups, that I agree with. He can definitely help most teams. When I say most teams, I'm speaking of playoff contending teams. When it comes to matchups, like Houston, he will be great on Houston because Sengun lacks in the front in the rim protection. That's something he brings value of. So I can see that. When you say he will be a top five center today in this league, no, he will not.
Well,
I disagree with that.
I feel like the main difference is with those centers that were named, those bigs that were named are in like the top two offensive options. I just feel like besides the 3-point shooting, which he's worked on, they have that over him. He can still make the passes. He can still cut and bang down low to draw the defense in. I'm not going to say that Peso's far up. I feel like
we got a comment from Draco. Not to cut you off. It's pertaining to your point, though, Ace. Dwight Howard can impact the game more than Rudy. Stop with the bullshit. Most of the top bigs.
I mean, I don't think that's a far-fetched statement.
Not to the comment.
He can't impact it more than Rudy.
I don't think that's a far-fetched statement.
I'm not saying no one's hold on. Stop. No one's saying anything about being far-fetched. But he said more. Right now, I don't see him impacting the game more than Rudy.
Rudy
on the
missing
same level,
layups.
yes. But I think
Rudy's missing layups. Dwight Howard is putting people through the rim. I don't.
no, he does not do that no more. This is what I'm talking about. We're not talking about Dwight after Orlando Lakers. Current Dwight is not doing what you are assuming. We're going off of his name.
How do you know? When's the last time you've seen Dwight Howard play? You've seen the Tijuana games?
2020, he wasn't putting people through the rim. He was
Hold up, the games when AD was out and he was actually scoring. He told, like in an interview, he said it. They was like, "Hey, well, you're not here for that." He was still scoring at a high volume. He's
high
not.
volume.
Rudy Gobert is not doing that.
Points is not a high volume. This is what I'm talking about.
Rudy Gobert is not doing that. When's the last
He
time?
already does. That's the point.
Rudy Gobert is known for missing layups and dunks at his height and level, bro.
And Rudy Gobert is known to being on the elite defense that he's leading, which is what he's been doing. And
Dwight Howard is not.
That's not what I'm saying. What
So
I never said he doesn't. When you talk
now,
about the white people through the rim and all this stuff, he's not doing that anymore at this juncture of his career.
Are you taking prime Dwight or prime Rudy?
That's not the argument. Listen to what I'm saying.
I feel like Dwight Howard right now.
Matter of fact,
I feel like right now Dwight Howard would be better than Rudy right now.
Do you even watch Minnesota?
Right now, today.
Do you watch Minnesota?
I don't watch all 82 games of Minnesota. No, I watch.
Have you watched Minnesota enough this season?
I've watched Minnesota enough to know that.
How do they look defensively without Rudy?
Oh man, we're talking about defensively. I'm talking about the offensive.
That matters.
On the offensive end, what is Rudy Gobert known for? He's known for missing layups.
And what is Dwight known for offensively in this current stint of his career? He don't do much other. That's my point.
I have better value and better faith in.
Where's the better value at Ace? On offense.
I have a better faith in Dwight Howard to make a layup than Rudy Gobert.
They're not even running the offense through these. This and what you said with the whole prop stuff is proving my point. The overall point I'm trying to make.
That's not proving your point.
If you let me finish, like you tell me, if you let me finish,
Dwight Howard over Rudy.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Dwight Howard over Rudy. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
If you let me finish, when you ask who would you rather have, prime Rudy, prime Dwight, that is my point exactly. You guys are talking off Dwight based off his name, like what he has done in the past. I'm going off of current time Dwight and when last time we seen him play. When you last time seen him play offensively, he doesn't do much different than Rudy. They're not running the offense through neither one of them. They're there for
because they told him you're not here for that. He can do it. They just said he's not here for that. Rudy
I don't care if he can do something if he doesn't do it. That's the point.
Chris Paul was able to guard Rudy Gobert in the paint successfully, and then
no, he was not.
Are you, brother? You're not watching the game, bro.
No, he was not.
All right. You're the perfect encyclopedia. All I'm saying is,
I'm not.
Dwight Howard is in offensive conversation.
That don't make sense.
Rudy Gobert is not in offensive conversation.
Neither is Dwight. That is the point I'm making.
He said that they told him, yeah, you're not here for that. He could come out shooting threes. He could come out scoring. They said you're not here for that. You want
Dwight shooting threes?
They told him to tone it down. Rudy Gobert can't. He can't do that.
Do you want Dwight to shoot threes? Yes or no?
If he's making them, yeah. But they said you're not.
No. Yes or no?
Yes. If you've seen it officially, yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. When you have a team such as Minnesota, we have Anthony Edwards, Randall, Jaden McDaniels, Donovan DiVincenzo. You don't need a Dwight to do that. That is my point. Whether he can do it or not, he's not doing it. I don't want to go off fifth or fifth. I'm going off what he actually done.
It depends on who's around. Dwight is not on that team. If he's on that team, then no. But if he's on another team, then yeah. It depends on the team and the scheme of the.
No team is going to want Dwight shooting threes.
My point is this:
before he's not there, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Before we got to threes, I just said better offensively. I can count on Dwight to make a layup. Rudy Gobert has the fact missed layups and dunks who he should have made.
So Dwight has never missed layups?
In his career, he probably has, but at a lower percentage than Rudy Gobert.
At a higher efficiency, that's cool. But the point I'm trying to make is, outside you talk about missing layups, what other offensive value does he do different than Rudy?
He has better post moves. Rudy Gobert has no post moves.
Don't even use the post anymore. That's the point I'm trying to make. He doesn't, even if he does it slightly better, he doesn't do it because he's not asked to do it.
If you had a big to catch the ball down low and work, then teams would use it. Most of these people are just coming in, just running and shooting everything. Rudy Gobert, if you don't catch it off a lob and you don't give it to him, go straight up, he has no moves. He's useless.
But that's my point. Because of today's game, you're not asked to just dump the ball down into the post. anymore. So bigs like a Dwight or Rudy are asked to do other things like rim protect, clean the glass, play in space, try to play and drop depending on who's the pick and roll ball handler, things of that nature. You're not asking Dwight to be in the post. The only two players that really be posting, and I'm speaking just particularly on the centers, is a Jokic, Sengun, but you're not. And again, they play high post and through the nail most of the time, so they're not asked to be on the low block. That's what I'm saying. Based on those things and how the style of play is, Dwight is going to be have the same impact as Rudy, and that's not a bad impact because Rudy's impact is really great, especially in Minnesota.
His impact is great on the defensive end. My thing is this: if you have a player and you know that his attributes are good, you go to it. You would go to Dwight Howard in the post. You would go to Jokic in the post. You would
So why
go
don't
to what?
So why don't they go to Dwight in the post?
Because Dwight's not signed to a team right now. What do you?
Here we go. Also, we're talking.
Yeah,
to people on the team.
I didn't want to make it too deep. I was just trying to make it a point that I feel like players like Dwight Howard could definitely still make
Impact.
a good point on a lot of teams in the NBA in today's league.
And I agree with that too. Just top 5 centers, that's a stretch.
Top 5 may have been a stretch, but I think I mean there's not that many bigs in today's league. But I think 6, 7, 8, top 10 easily.
There might be not many centers, sure, but when you say bigs, there's a lot more bigs.
I'm talking strictly 5s.
I know that's why I'm clarifying for the audience. When you talk about the centers, sure, he probably be around 6 to 8, maybe. But
I feel like Melo, when we talk about Melo, it comes to a different story because he's competing with more guards, he's competing with more wings, which is the NBA's flooded in today's league with that. So I could get that where I still feel like he can be on some teams, but it's not as easy as we may make it seem.
Fair enough. Let's move right along. Since we're already on these type of talks, we might as well go into the Kawhi would you rather segment. A healthy Kawhi Leonard right now, would you rather have him over these players? The first name is Jimmy Butler. A healthy Kawhi. I'm taking healthy Kawhi. I'm not. I don't have to think twice about this for me personally.
Yeah, I'm taking a healthy Kawhi.
I'm going healthy Jimmy.
Say more.
You said say more?
Yeah. Like, why would you take Jimmy over Kawhi?
Those are two players. Honestly, they're both on both sides of the ball. I just feel like Jimmy did. I mean, he did what less. Like granted, it's hard to compare because if Kawhi's healthy, he's playing regular season, so I can assume that. So regular season, cool. That's the one up. When it comes to playoffs, those are two players who go. Now, Kawhi gets hurt, so we're healthy. We're talking fully healthy. Jimmy took two underrated teams to the finals. The same Miami Heat team. Can Kawhi have taken those Miami Heat teams to the finals?
Yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Because he's better offensively. Like, it's not even close offensively.
What does he do better offensively?
Everything. Post, pull-up shooting, off the dribble shooting, catch and shoot. There's not a conversation offensively between these two at all. Especially if he's healthy. There's nothing Jimmy does offensively better than Kawhi.
Okay.
Even from an efficiency standpoint.
Will we see the Clippers in the conference finals this year?
What does that have to do with the player? See, I'm not worried about the team. I don't care about the team. I'm looking at player for player. There's nothing Jimmy does better.
Why Leonard have taken those Miami Heat teams to the finals? You said yes. Next player.
But when we're talking about this is kind of hard because when we're talking about a healthy Kawhi, it's like Kawhi hasn't been healthy in years.
It's hard because when do you see it? But I mean, if we see it, then what?
The only thing I'm not even gonna say it's better than Kawhi, but I really love the way that Jimmy Butler finishes around the rim. Again, I'm not saying it's better than Kawhi, but I think 15 feet and in, Jimmy is very elite from that standpoint.
Now, one thing I will say is an argument between the two is the foul baiting, being able to draw fouls. I think Jimmy does that. You could argue Jimmy does that better than Kawhi. But again, this is where I ended at from my point. Both healthy. Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard. There's talks Kawhi's a top 5 player when healthy. There's not that same conversation with Jimmy Butler. And that's all I'm going to say with that. So
That's a fair argument. Next
Yeah, but
question.
when's the last time we talked about Kawhi being top 5?
See that we
that's not the point, because in the segment you made, it was all about health. So I'm not going back to when he was last healthy. I'm going off what the segment was asked for.
Who would he be better than in the top 5 currently? In your top 5, who would he be better than? Who would you be willing to push out?
My top 5. Okay. Before I answer that, we have a comment from Adam. Adam, shout out to you. Thank you for the comment. The Rockets are being underestimated. We're gonna get to the Rockets soon enough. Every guy on that team can score the ball. They're gonna be a hard to beat in a 7-game series.
This is Moose's burner account. I'm convinced.
I mean, I agree now, but did everybody feel that way about Houston before the season started? I'm not talking to you, Musa, but just going off of that
Hey,
comment. I
well,
mean,
that
it
was
looks
your
good
thing.
now because of what the Rockets are doing. I'm not taking no shame from them, but
Say that again, because I honestly, we had another comment coming, so I wasn't really focused on what you just said.
No, he was saying that besides you, he didn't really see anybody else give them that praise. So where was this at before? But he did say you was with him on that. So
Oh yeah, I know. I wasn't.
I didn't know if you heard that part. I just want to clarify that he did
Yeah.
say you were with him on that.
Yeah, and considering the fact that they really didn't add much outside of rookies this offseason, I mean, the players, that just goes to credit to Houston staff and the players' development on that side. But we're going to talk about the Rockets in just a moment. Draco with another comment. Kawhi was a top 10 player last year and barely played. I disagree with that 1,000%. But
he was a top 10 player last year and barely played. What? When was Kawhi a top 10 player last season?
We can move on. Back to the question H asked me. In my top 10,
With no top 5,
right now, I mean top 5 right now. Obviously, it'd be Shea, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum. Fifth will probably be Luka, most likely. Top 5, would he be able? Who would he able to have conversation with to be a top 5 player out of those 5?
Who would you push out?
I'm not pushing anyone out. I'm gonna make an argument for him to be over them in my top 5. The 2 players I'm looking at would be Luka and Tatum. If I had to choose someone that make an argument for Kawhi over them, obviously we're talking about Kawhi healthy and peak for those who are just
I understand Luka because of
those
defense.
would be the 2 players I can try to make an argument for them to be in the top 5.
With Luka, I understand defense. Why would he be over Tatum?
For the same things. He's a better perimeter defender, clearly. I think he's a better overall defender. I think Tatum might slightly be a better rebounder. And offensively, he does everything Tatum can do at a more efficient clip. So because of that,
who's the next player?
I will go with Kawhi. If I had to choose those. Shea, Jokic, Giannis is like
No. I'm saying
I could make an argument for Giannis, sure. I could try to make an argument for Giannis too. But like what Shea's doing this year is I just it's hard. It will be hard to make the argument. It's doable, but it'll be really, really hard to do it.
Who's
next player?
Would you rather?
The next player on the list is, I guess we could just do his name since we just talked about him. Jason Tatum.
You said Jason Tatum?
Mm-hmm. Healthy Kawhi right now. Would you have him over Jason Tatum?
No. I think where Jason Tatum is right now in his career, I think he definitely evolved in his game. I mean, I'm taking JT all day right now.
Ace?
That's tricky only because right now I feel like the better Kawhi got at basically scoring, his defense have taken a step back. I just feel like the only thing with Tatum is he doesn't always attack. But right now, if I do to choose today, I'm going Tatum over Kawhi.
Healthy Kawhi right now. That includes him being great on defense. Because if you've been watching the Clippers this year, and when he's showing flashes, he can still be an elite 2-way defender. He's not that obviously right now, but I feel like they're equal. I'll give him Kawhi slightly the edge on scoring. Rebounding, I'll probably slightly give an edge to Tatum, and I've seen with the playmaking. But again, I know Tatum might be slightly the more versatile defender, but slightly. I'm probably still gonna go Kawhi.
You said you give Kawhi the slight edge in scoring.
Yes.
Okay.
His ability. When I say scoring, I'm talking about the different ways of how he can score the basketball, not just looking at the average and the stats. I'm not looking at the stats. Strictly the different 3 levels of ways he can score the ball, and out of how efficient he does it, I will slightly give Kawhi the edge. Next player is LeBron James. Healthy Kawhi with LeBron.
I feel like the only thing right now stopping that is age. Other than that, you don't really have LeBron's 40. That's the only thing where Kawhi will have the edge, but he's to me better as far as different levels, IQ. Kawhi would sit down. Well, he used to sit down. LeBron can defend if he needs to. I'm going LeBron.
Peso?
Are we talking about Kawhi and LeBron?
Mm-hmm.
Healthy right now. I'm taking LeBron. But I don't think it's by a landslide. I just think from a physicality standpoint, I think that's what LeBron has an advantage at as far as their game. It's not similar, but I can't really pick one over the other. I definitely feel like they're both good inside and out players defensively. IQ is up to par with both of them, but I think from a physicality standpoint, I would go with LeBron.
Yeah. Defensively, Kawhi, without a doubt. LeBron's a better rim protector, but LeBron takes too many mental laps on defense. A la you've seen what happened against Chicago. In Chicago, Braun, that was on you because of defense. Offensively, I think it's splitting hairs. So I would probably still go LeBron because, like you said, his ability to get downhill still and how physical he is at such an elite level, despite his age. Because I think at this point with LeBron, the only 2 players in sports right now I defy age with is LeBron James and Derrick Henry. So because of that, I'll still go Braun.
I still want to say it's criminal. LeBron doesn't have a Defensive Player of the Year award, but different conversation.
Yeah, him and Anthony Davis. And the reason why I bring up Anthony Davis because that's the next name on this list.
Okay, hold up. Why are we comparing Kawhi to Anthony Davis?
Don't ask me, brother. I'm just the messenger. So
they don't play the same position.
It's player for player. Healthy Kawhi over Anthony Davis.
I'm taking Kawhi over AD.
I'm going.
Yes, for this one you can say both healthy.
I mean,
I'm trolling.
I'm going AD.
I'm gonna go Kawhi. And again, the reason why I'm going Kawhi is because of the offense. I think AD can impact the game more on the defensive side of the ball because of his rim protection and his ability to still be able to guard the pick and roll a little bit as the off man. But yeah, if we're talking about healthy Kawhi, it's not too many I'm going to have over Kawhi.
I feel like the healthy Kawhi is like if Derrick Rose had 5 more years. It's something you just don't see.
Well, because Derrick Rose had 15 years. So if we're being honest.
Well, if Derrick Rose had a good ACL, he didn't have the ACL tear. It's like one of those woulda, coulda. Kawhi has a good talent, but it's a healthy Kawhi. Like, when's the last time we've seen a healthy Kawhi whole season and playoffs?
Well, we might see it right now because they've been holding him out for the end of the year, which I think is the best bet.
They always hold him out for the end of the year. Playoffs comes.
Not like this year though. This year they was real cognizant of like you're not playing till like after the All-Star break, maybe even beginning March. And then even if they was doing spurts of that until he can get his rhythm. Because if you notice, when he was peaking last year, he broke down because of the degenerate knees by the playoffs. So they figure hold him out longer, and then now you probably have that peak in the playoff run. So, I mean, I hear your point though overall, but I mean, this is what we have to go off. We
got Mavericks and Clippers play today, so hopefully we'll see something.
I don't think AD's playing out. I don't believe, but I'll double check that nonetheless. But you had AD, Peso, you said Kawhi, and I said Kawhi. So moving on to the next name, we have Jaylen Brown. I did not make up this list before Ace looks up. Two Celtics players on the list. I did not make this list.
I didn't
I
say
just
nothing.
announced it. But
I got Kawhi.
yeah, I think this is clear. Kawhi clear for me. I'm not wasting much breath on this.
I ain't gonna say clear, but I just got Kawhi.
It's clear for me. It's clear for me, at least. I'm speaking for me. Peso, Kawhi over Jaylen Brown. Who you got?
Yeah, I think this one's pretty clear too. It ain't nothing to Jaylen Brown, but I mean, healthy right now, Kawhi all day.
I ain't gonna lie. Even Kawhi we see right now, I'm taking over Jaylen Brown.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie.
It just
I
might be
mean,
a
yeah, it's just easy to say that what he's been doing with the Clippers recently.
It just might be a
It's mostly because of it's really the offensive side of the ball. Like I don't think there's much of a. He's more efficient. He's just a better overall offensive player, and he has both hands. From what people like to say, this whole Jalen can't go left is.
I just think it's a down year for Brown. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to go band for band and go peak for peak, I don't think there's a conversation either.
Okay.
Peak Jaylen Brown versus peak Kawhi, I don't think there's a conversation. Just
That's
in my opinion. But next name we got Anthony Edwards.
I hope this ain't too surprising, but I would take Anthony Edwards right now over a healthy Kawhi. I think with the experience that Anthony Edwards is going to obtain within the next few years, I definitely, Kawhi winning the championships. Besides, I'm not going to go that far and say Anthony Edwards may not win. How much Kawhi got? 2 rings?
See, again, yes, but again, this is for me at least. You guys do it how you want. I'm not looking at what they did in the past. I don't even care about that. I don't care about the team. Player for player, skill set for skill set. What they bring on the court, offensively, defensively, is what I'm only looking at. For me, that's how I'm judging it based off. But Pacers say he got Ant-Man. Ace, who you got?
I got Kawhi.
I'm gonna go Kawhi as well. Actually, Ant-Man has been really efficient. Well, let me rephrase that. This is the most efficient year from shooting the 3 ball, especially given the usage he's shooting the 3 ball at this season. But I still think he has to develop some more playmaking, improve his playmaking skills, particularly when he's getting double team off the pick and roll, finding the open man, kind of reading it, getting ahead of the defense on that. I think Kawhi does that better than him. So because of that, I'm gonna go with Kawhi. And the last name on this list is Zion Williamson.
I have healthy Kawhi.
Yeah, same here.
Kawhi.
Fair enough. Moving right along, man, we're gonna get right into the next segment, and that is what's in the title. Cooper Flagg, is he a generational talent? And also, what team would you like to see him go to, and who would you compare his game to in the NBA? And doesn't have to be current day NBA. It could be 90s, 2000s, 2010s. If you go that far back, you can even say the 80s. But all in all, do you believe he's a generational talent? And what team do you think he fits best on? Or would you like to see him go to? Peso, I will start with you.
What we getting into? Cooper Flagg? My fault, yo.
Yes, sir.
What we talking about? Like his
Is he a
game?
generational talent? And what teams would you like to see him go to?
As far as Cooper being a generational talent, to be honest, no. I don't think, because I his game really resembles to me of a Jason Tatum. Because what is he, like 6'10", 6'9", 6'10"?
6'9".
Yeah, so I think we have kind of a lot of similarities to what Cooper Flagg brings to the basketball court in today's NBA. When we talk about guys like JT, I don't, guys like Giannis, just being a tall wing that can kind of do everything. He's a real good shooter. Definitely is good with putting the ball on the floor. I think his IQ is there. he brings a different aspect as far as a mentality to the game of basketball. And I hope what he's doing for Duke can transition into the NBA, just having that grit and having that toughness as a player. Um, but yeah, from a generational standpoint, I just don't think so because we're coming into the league where we're dealing with a lot of these 6'9", 6'10" stars that's coming in and being able to shoot the ball, handle the rock. But it also depends on the coaching scheme and the coaching system and where he gets into when he comes into the league. But as far as teams that he could go to, plenty. And I already think the way the draft is looking like it might be set up, we talk about teams like Washington, definitely with them getting rid of Kuzma, him paired up with Alex Sarr, Jordan Poole, I think
Alex
would be
Hard
a
been
nice.
looking real nice towards the end of the season too.
Yeah, I think that'll be a nice fit for him. Utah will be a nice fit for him. I know they still got marketing over there, pairing up with Colin Sexton. I don't know what they're gonna do with both him and Keontae George, but um, Utah
Like Isaiah
is
Collier.
Utah is in the need of a wing, and you still got Walker Kessler over there too. Like that team is pretty stacked and deep, but I don't really think none of the contending teams are gonna have a chance to get Coop. But
There is one contending team.
even like San Antonio and what they got going on right now. I don't think they're going to land him unless they make some miracle change and get up in the draft. But yeah, I think shit. I would like him in Atlanta too. I know Atlanta ain't gonna get him, but that'd be a nice little
Atlanta,
piece.
of course. He don't want to go there. He gonna get fed off the bad daddies. Mhm.
Nah, but Cooper, I think he's gonna do his thing. I just think from a generational standpoint, I think his game is compared to a lot others. But the closest person I'm thinking about right now is definitely Jason Tatum. I just think Coop's mentality is gonna be, when JT came into the league very young, I felt like JT's mentality was just trying to fit in. It was very vague, and I feel like Coop is gonna bring that energy into the game, and I think that's what's gonna help him out a lot.
Fair enough. Is Cooper Flagg a generational talent?
I
1000%.
honestly, I'm gonna just save y'all the time. I don't even watch this game enough to even say that. But all I'm saying is, if it's generational,
We can't see you, John.
I understand.
Oh.
If it's generational, he should be able to be plugged into any team and a scheme around him. I feel like RJ Barrett had averaged more at Duke, and that went under the rug. But we're not even talking about that. I just feel like any team he go to, whether they have Markkinen and him on Utah, the theme or the theory of him, of Spurs tanking to get him, I feel like no matter where it's at, he should be able to plug into. But shout out to Cooper Flagg and what they're doing in the Final Four. I got Duke going to the championship. You didn't ask, but I'm telling.
Yeah, no, we're about to get to the predictions in just a moment for the Final Four for the men's. And we're going to give our predictions last minute on the national championship game. I think it's tomorrow, Monday, for the women. That's been set from yesterday's game, last night's games. Back to what I was saying. Is he a generational talent? 1000%. For what Ace just said, asked about. Cooper Flagg, if you watch him play, he's a plug-and-play player. He can play in any system you have in NBA right now. Before I continue, Jerko with a comment. He is not generational talent, but can still make huge impact in the league. Okay, and this is where me and you disagree, as well as Peso, because Peso said the same thing as far as not being generational talent. Here's why I disagree is, to Peso's point, Coop is someone that can be plug and play to any team right now in system. The reason being is to what Peso just mentioned earlier, where this league is being dominated by a lot of big wings or guards that can switch, play the perimeter, play in the post, can hedge, can guard the nail as a defense, can rim protect, and play weak side defense. All those things Cooper Flagg does, and does it at a pretty efficient level from the college standpoint right now. For those who don't know, and for those who care about stats, Cooper Flagg this year is averaging 19 points, 1.5 steals, 1.5 blocks, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists on 83% from the free throw line, 37% from the three, 48% from the field. And he's taking only 13 shots. which I believe is probably top 2 on his team or 3. What that tells me, besides the stats, but me watching him play, what it tells me is he's not a selfish player. He doesn't really look for shots. The team has to tell him, like, no, take over, because they know it opens up everything else for him. He could play off the ball, catch and shoot. He could play the nail. He could play on the ball. I would like to see him tighten up his ball handle a little bit more. And I'm curious to see how his 3-ball will translate to the pro level, because he's shooting 37% from the 3 now. But the 3-point line is a little closer in college, so I'd like to see where he'll be at once he gets to the pros. But him being 6'9" with a long wingspan, being a great rim protector and weak side rim protector, I believe you could plug him in on any team in the top draft right now. And he can be the 3 or the 4. He can guard some guards on most nights when it comes to the pick and roll aspect of the game. Not saying he could be on the island with most of these elite guards, because a lot of players in the league can't. But I think his ability to shoot, get downhill, rebound, defend, he's on the perimeter or on the block, is going to be beneficial and plugged in. A team that I would like to see him go to, and why I said one contender, there is only one contender outside of course, OKC and the Spurs. They got ridiculed with injuries this year, but New Orleans is a team that can easily be back in the playoffs next season, given all the key players that they can bring back if they can stay healthy, with Zion, DeJounte Murray, McCollum, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy. You add a Cooper Flagg to that team, especially, like you said, Peso, all the wing depth in the league is just going to help that team improve more. And you have a great coach in Willie Green. Another team I like him on is actually Chicago. I actually love him on Chicago because he can, and Utah, but Chicago and Utah are similar reasons, because you could plug him and play, and he doesn't have to be the main option. You can kind of get him into the offensive flow and rotation pretty seamlessly, because you have a lot of guards that can play, make and get him the ball, a la Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Lonzo Ball for Utah, Isaiah Collier, and Keontae George and things of that nature. So those are kind of the teams I look at for him in particular. And lastly, where I would compare him, who I would compare his game to. I'm not mad at the Jason Tatum analogy. Comparison, considering the size and what their ability to do on the court, offensive, defensively. And also we're looking at Tatum coming out of Duke, not what he is now. Because that'd be foolish. But yeah, that's kind of, I'm not mad at it. Defensively, he has the potential to kind of be similar to what Jonathan Isaac is, or what would have been if he could stay healthy due to all those injuries in the past. So that's kind of where I'm at with him currently. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to the next segment?
Nah, I'm pretty much. I mean, yeah, I think cool. I just don't think it's gonna be generational, because there are a lot of like wings his size that's gonna be coming out. I think in the future. I think that's already out in the NBA. That kind of brings similarities to what Coop already brings to the game. I just think, when we talk about like Giannis is a generational talent, people like Zion was, or we looked at as a generational talent. Um, LeBron James and what he came into the league doing when he first came in, and not seeing wings like that and be as dominant as what they was able to bring to the table. I just think that there are some similarities in Coop's game, but I think he'll definitely be fine and conquer in today's league.
Fair enough. Next, since we're already on the college aspect, we're going to talk about the Final Four. We have the Final Four teams: Auburn, Florida, Houston, and Duke. I would like to hear you guys' thoughts on who you guys think is going to the championship game. Obviously, the teams are playing today. The first game, I believe, is going to be Florida versus Auburn, which starts at 6 o'clock, 6:10. And then the 8 o'clock game, 8:45-ish, will be Duke versus Houston. So I'd like to hear you guys' predictions. Who you got winning the Florida and Auburn game, and then Houston and Duke. And this is the first time, I think, since 2016, or I believe, but don't quote me on this because I forgot the year, where we had all 4 number 1 seeds make it to the Final Four. So
I got Florida winning and I got Duke winning. No particular reason. I haven't been as invested, but that's just my prediction off the strength.
Peso.
Yeah, if I had a early prediction, I'm gonna go Duke and I'm gonna go Auburn. Actually, no, I'm gonna go Florida. I think it's gonna be Duke and Florida.
Duke in Florida. Okay. So initially on my original bracket, I had Duke winning it all. So I still have that as the case. Duke will win the national championship. I had them being St. John's actually in the national championship game. But with that being said, I believe Duke will beat Houston because I think their size is just going to be too much for Duke. And they do have some size, but Duke is just their front court depth and size is just really, really strong for them. And I rely on their shooting. Tyrese Proctor is going to be really good in that game, I believe. So I'm gonna give edge to Duke. I'm gonna give the edge to Duke. I'm sorry, and I don't think this will be a landslide win though, because majority of Duke's games this year in the tournament has been pretty comfortable wins. I think it's gonna be their first real close test in the second half. I think it's gonna help them propel them get prepared for the championship game. Come, I believe they will play on Monday or Tuesday for the national championship. As far as the Auburn and Florida game, this one's gonna be tough for me. Considering Broom, I don't know his health status. He did mess up his elbow in that last game. He's good. He's gonna be good to go to play this game this afternoon. But I don't know. Florida just got all the perfect pieces. They got the elite guards. They got the wings that can defend. They got the bigs that can space the floor and open up the lanes for the guards on offense. But if anyone's going to be able to put pressure on that front court to kind of rely on Clayton and the crew to propel Florida to the national championship, it's going to be Auburn. So I'm going to go Auburn. And I think the difference in this game is I'm going to mispronounce his name. He's the freshman guard off their bench, Tahad. Tahid. I apologize in advance for botching your name. He's going to be the difference for Auburn. And for that reason, I'm going to go Auburn Duke in the national championship game. Tahad, yeah, Pettiford. I had to make sure I pronounced brother's name correctly. All right. Next, we have, before we get off to college, real quick, the national championship game for the women's, South Carolina, UConn. Paige's final game, Tahina Powell's final game. Who you guys got? He was a betting man.
I think we talked about this briefly a little bit yesterday, Musa. I just don't think South Carolina's going to win 2 in a row.
You got to be in a blowout or like a close game?
I think it'll be a close game, but I think Paige is on a different level this season. I just don't see South Carolina winning back-to-back. Now, if they do, I think that's literally going to just mark South Carolina as just a dynasty. Like I think they already are, but I think moving forward, especially with some of the players looking to leave this season and stuff like that, I think South Carolina's gonna be in it for the long haul. But I think UConn's gonna get them this year. I just don't see them winning back to back.
Ace, I know you probably haven't followed it much, but if you had to choose a winner for the national championship game for the women, who would it be? South Carolina or UConn? We'll come back to Ace. I'm going to go South Carolina in this game. I think, to what we talked about, Peso, they do have the guards that can kind of match up with UConn's guards. But I do think the difference in this game is going to be the front court for either team if they're going to win. And I just think South Carolina's going to do just enough to win this game by 5 or 6. I think it's going to be a close game. But by all means, this is all in the makings to make it an elite game. And for Paige, to your point, Peso, this is all Paige is missing on her record, her career for UConn is the national championship game. She's done everything else that you can imagine doing in a UConn jersey, especially when it comes to the female side of things. How dominant the females UConn basketball team has been over the past decade, even longer, to be honest. when Diana Taurasi was playing for them. So because of that, Paige will be in some good company. She can find a way to win this game. All right. Now we're gonna move right along. We're gonna kind of speed through this stuff. The play-in predictions. Right now, currently in the East, the play-in is the Magic, Hawks, Bulls, and the Heat. That is actually set in stone. That is the 4 teams that's going to be at least in the play-in. It looks like now. Whether or not someone can move up to the 6th seed, that can happen because we still have about 5 games left. But the Bulls and the Heat looks like they're a lock to be in the play-in. You can always book the Bulls to be in the play-in game. So Peso, who would you have winning the Bulls and Heat matchup? And then who would you have winning the Magic and Atlanta game?
Well, I mean, I'll go real quick with Atlanta and Magic. I think that's so tough because I think at the beginning of the season I had Orlando being the top 4 or 5 seed in the Eastern Conference.
I agree. Injuries definitely hurt them early.
But at the same time, with Atlanta, I just don't think they haven't. I don't know. I would have to go with Atlanta, especially in a one and up game.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against Trae Young, man.
Yeah, because I think, especially when it's just one game, I definitely think Trae Young is going to go off. But as far as the Heat and Bulls matchup, I think that one's a little bit more interesting. I think that's going to be one of the, if that still stands to be one of the most probably best games to watch as far as the play-in. But if I had to choose, I think I'll go Miami.
Okay, so you have Miami and Atlanta.
Yep.
So then who will you have win? Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I do this correctly. All right. Okay, actually, so Orlando wins, they'll be the 7th seed. Perfect. So then Orlando and Miami, who you think wins that matchup to get the 8th seed?
Orlando and Miami, I'm going with Miami.
Okay. For me, I have Orlando beating Atlanta, so they'll be the 7th seed, and they'll play Boston in the first round. For those watching us not too familiar with the playing how they handle the playing settlement is 7 through 10 seeds. The 7 and 8 seed plays each other. The winner gets the 7th seed. The loser then plays the winner of the 9th and 10th seed to get the 8th seed. So I have Orlando becoming the 7th seed. Then I have Chicago beating Miami. And then Atlanta and Chicago. I'm going to go Atlanta beating Chicago and being the 8th seed.
I feel like that matchup is tricky too.
It is, but I rely more on Trae. I think Trae Young can get it done. And then Atlanta will be playing Cleveland in the first round. So
you think that's a sweep?
I think Atlanta loses in 5. I think Trae can get him 1 game at least. It's interesting to see if Atlanta collectively could play some decent defense, they give themselves a chance because we know Dyson Daniels is going to make it tough on Donovan Mitchell and Garland, nonetheless. But moving right along with the West, we have currently, because it can change, the Clippers are the 7th seed, Memphis is the 8th seed, then you have Dallas and Sacramento. Right now, Clippers will play Grizzlies, Mavericks versus the Kings. Who would you have winning the Clippers and Grizzlies matchup and then the Mavericks Kings matchup?
I mean, everything that's going on now with Memphis, I don't know. This at one point this team was a number 2 seed. I thought they was heading into the right direction. We got Ja over here getting fined $75K.
For nonsense, by the way. He got fined for no reason, in my opinion.
I just think Memphis is heading down the wrong direction. I don't have them winning this playing game. And as far as, especially against the Clippers, are where they're at right now too. As far as Dallas, what are we talking about? Dallas and who would they play?
Sacramento.
Sheesh. AD's the only one back right now.
Gafford's playing.
Gafford's back too. Yeah, I'll probably rock with Dallas in that. I feel like Sacramento, they just got this new team together. It's going to take them some time to figure out what's going on over there. And mind you, we only talking about just one game, so I think that's what's most interesting about the playing. It's just one game elimination, so anything can happen. But I would rock with Dallas, and it's if AD is there, he's healthy. Yeah, I go with Dallas.
So then Dallas versus Memphis for the eighth seed. Who you got?
Dallas. I go Dallas AC.
So you think despite all these injuries, Dallas will be still make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they still have an opportunity to make it. That's if AD is healthy, and we seen just the other day. Unfortunately, he banged up his eye once
Yeah,
again.
but I think that's not going to cause them no time.
Yeah, nah, but I just think what from what a glimpse from him coming back and what we was able to see was just like, all right, like yeah, like AD, he could definitely make a change, and I don't think even with Kyrie being out right now, um, I think just as a standalone, AD could do it enough to get past Sacramento.
Fair enough. So I agree with the 9-10 matchup. I think Dallas beats Sacramento. I didn't have the Clippers. I'll have the Clippers losing to the Grizzlies. Not because of style of plays, because that's kind of what I want to see, being a fan perspective. Because then I'll have the Grizzlies. Wait, let me make sure I got that right. Nope, I lied. I have the Mavericks beating the Kings and the Clippers beating the Grizzlies. So I have the Clippers versus Houston first round. The matchup I want to see is what Memphis beating Dallas to get the eighth seed. I want to see the Grizzlies versus the Thunder in the first round. Ja versus Shea. As a fan, that's what I want to see. So that'll be my matchups for that playing predictions. And the last segment of the show is the biggest team disappointments this season. I spelled seasons wrong. I just realized that. Let me take that off real quick. But so I'll go first. You want me to go? I think it's pretty obvious who I'm going with.
Now, I got a couple of teams that kind of disappointed me. Some of them due to injuries that unfortunately aren't under these players' control. But the first team I think, which everybody probably could look at, is definitely Phoenix. The whole big three thing that we thought that was going to work out over there clearly didn't. I think they definitely just wasted a lot of money, wasted a lot of time with that whole debacle. Bradley Bill's been a kind of an injury-prone player for the last couple of years. And KD, I don't really know what is next to really come with KD moving forward. I feel like his game is what it is, and definitely one of the best players to ever step on a basketball court. But it's kind of hard to see KD keep moving, and things just ain't working out, regardless if it's him with injuries, somebody else with injuries. But Phoenix has just been a total bust. I thought with Coach Budenholzer going over there, things was going to turn around for them from last season. Dealing with the stuff with what's the big over there, Nurkic. Yeah, Nurkic, things just ain't working out. Another team I want to throw out there real quick is just unfortunately, I'm not saying it's a disappointment, but I had San Antonio making a play in this year. I think at one point they definitely had a fighting chance until they had Wemby go down with the injury again. It wasn't really the organization's fault. They had the whole thing with Pop going on.
We do know what team is making the playoffs.
Who are we talking about? Detroit?
Houston.
Oh, yeah.
I told you.
I mean, I gave you kudos to that plenty of times, and I definitely gotta apologize now for the not being informed too much with Houston. I ain't really been watching them before. I've been catching up with
who they coaches, right?
But yeah, I see Ime over there, but I didn't think it was gonna be as good as what it looks like. So
hey, when you got Ime, who the last part of the sentence over there, I already knew they was gonna be in good hands. He ain't gonna be for the BS, but
I think it just furthermore proves just how like phenomenal of a coach he is at the same time, though. Like Houston kind of already had this roster a little bit together a little bit before.
To help you see that point, let me, for those watching, give you some backtrack what Peso's saying. Before Ime got there, Houston was the bottom of the West 2 years in a row. First year last year, they go 41-41. Barely missed the play-in. And now this year, they're over 50 wins. And hopefully with only 4 or 5 games left, they can lock up the second seed in the West. And that's without adding big name additions and just adding some more rookies to the roster. So that just shows the level of commitment the players have in that coaching staff. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, I just think it furthermore proves what Ime's doing over there, and just grooming those guys. All those guys are young, besides a couple of veterans that they have. They're definitely pulling into the right direction. And last but not least, another team that disappointed me this year. Well, I ain't really gonna say a disappointment, but it is what it is Philadelphia.
thank you. I was waiting for that.
I mean,
I was excited for this segment. I thought we were gonna have a full show.
Nah, we done talked about this for a couple episodes, a couple of times, and it's just embarrassing. I don't really know what's in store with Philadelphia. I'm hoping, me personally, I want to see Embiid move to another team where he has a chance to, I guess, win a championship or maybe come around some better staff to keep him more healthy during the offseason, during the season. And Paul George, man, I don't know. I really don't know what, is it that time for him to hang it up? Can he really?
I think he can still play.
I definitely think he can, but with the injuries happening and it's just it's looking kind of wonky over there. So, and I could say Milwaukee too, a little bit to a certain extent. I mean, Dame went out with an injury, but I don't know, the East, especially the East. I just feel like it's going to be another one of those years. If Cleveland doesn't show up in the playoffs, I think it's going to be another walk in the park for Boston to the finals this year.
Back to disappointment teams. You mentioned some of the ones I was going to mention, like Philly. I forgot about Phoenix, of course. One of the teams I'm going to go with is Orlando. I expected much more from Orlando this year. They're still going to probably be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Orlando definitely should have been a top 5 seed in the East. So that's one of the teams. Milwaukee, not really, because I expected Milwaukee to be around the 3 to 5 range.
I'm just more so, not to cut you off, I'm just more so disappointed in the organization moves that has been done over there in the last 2-3 years.
Nobody wants to go to Milwaukee, and they're gonna have to move an arm and a leg to get plate pieces there with Giannis. That's what they had to do just to get Dame. And with Giannis not being healthy and then Dame getting hurt now, it just sucks. But yeah, Orlando will definitely be my biggest downfall. Miami is another one, considering the fact you start off the year with Butler and you had all these pieces, and for whatever reason fell by the wayside. But it's interesting because they went on a 11 game, I think, losing streak, and then they won 6 in a row. And even though they just lost their most recent game, but it's just interesting to me. So that'll be my teams in the East. Biggest disappointment in the West, the Timberwolves. But I expect them to be at least more of a top 4 seed, but Randall getting hurt early in the year and how he was playing early kind of threw a wrench in the whole thing.
They seem like they coming back around a little bit though. But
they have played a little better since the All-Star break, especially when Randall's in. They was on a great run. So, but I just expected a little bit more from them. But another team that's disappointed me in the West, of course, will be the Suns by far. The biggest disappointment for me. I didn't expect the Spurs to be in the playoffs. I was hoping to try to be around the play-in push, but yeah, I didn't expect that. Dallas I won't include because they had all the injuries, despite the trade they made. So I'll give them some grace for that. But yeah, that's my biggest disappointment.
Yeah, I guess once we get further and deeper into the playoffs, we're really going to be able to see some more exposure and have some more disappointments. I think we're only 5 games away, 6 games away from playoffs.
Yep, playoffs starts in about a week. I'm excited. I think Houston can probably make some noise, maybe. I didn't expect them to go deep in the playoffs, so that I will not make that prediction as of yet, especially because we don't know who they're going to be matched up with first round.
It's crazy. Just like again, I gotta applaud you. Like Houston has the second seed locked down.
As of now, yes, because they can mess it up
I
potentially.
mean, there's only about what 4 games left. We're talking about 5 games.
So yes, there's a 4 or 5 games, and they're about 4.5 games up on the Lakers and the Nuggets. So and they have a tough schedule to end off the year, so it can get dicey.
Real quick before we get out of here, Houston and Clippers matchup. You think that's going to work in their favor? The way the Clippers are playing right now.
That's going to be a dogfight series. That's because they're both great defenses. I'll slightly go Clippers, and the reason being is the front court. Zubac, who doesn't get enough respect and credit for the season he's having this year, is going to dominate in that series, I believe, against Sengun. One of the things that Sengun, I'm high on Sengun.
He's a live.
One of the things he still has to improve on is being able to guard the perimeter, cut down some of his timely turnovers. But he got to be able to defensively is the issue. Like
he got to move them feet.
Yeah, man. And Zubac is going to feast on that glass. But if anyone can make a difference outside of obviously the main guys on that team, Kawhi, Harden, Norman Powell, Zubac, who's one of those main guys, is going to be the difference, I think, in that series.
I could agree. I definitely think that's going to be interesting to start if that is a matchup in the first round. But I think just with some experience involved, I think Houston's year is going to be like next year and moving forward. But I'm proud to see him here. I'm proud to see him here, and I'm looking forward to them in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. But that's going to wrap up today's show. If you watched this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below, man. Is Cooper Flagg a generational talent? Which team is the biggest disappointment in your eyes? And is Dwight Howard a top 5 center in today's league if he was to come back in the NBA? Leave all that down below in the comment section. We appreciate you guys watching this far. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Make sure you stay safe. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Peace out.
Grade 8.
Hey, run that thing up.